So welcome, Yvonne, to Iron Woman Academy this evening, and I'm really excited to listen to your presentation where we're going to be really getting down on the subject of limiting beliefs and this negative self-talk. So without further ado, Yvonne, I'm going to welcome you, and over to you, Yvonne.
Okay, can you make me host?
I will make you host.
That would be lovely. And I will try and find my presentation. Lovely. Oh. Okay, hopefully we can all see that. Oh, no, don't see that one. Okay, can we see that one?
Yeah. Okay,
so I'm going to talk just briefly a little bit about our self-sabotaging dialogue that we have going on in our heads that a few of us have mentioned tonight. But I wanted to really make it a bit more positive tonight and focus on what we can do to make this actually an empowering dialogue. And so we can have this growth mindset rather than this sort of fixed limiting belief of ourselves. So that's what we're going to have a look at tonight. So we've all got this sort of inner voice, if you like. And I just wondered how we get along with that. Sometimes I pay a lot of attention to my inner voice, and sometimes I just totally ignore it. It depends really what it's saying to me and whether I like what is being told to me or not. But one thing I think works very well for me is I need my body and mind to be in balance. I think it's very difficult for your mind to work well if, in a sense, your body is tired. You know, if you don't have the best of nutrition, if you're not sleeping well, that can have a negative effect on your mind. So I think if your body is working well and you're, looking after that, you've got a much better chance of a healthy mindset as well. And research tells us that for optimum performance, we need to have good physical, mental, and spiritual health. And we get that through good nutritional support, good mindset practices, and being guided or being careful about the food that we intake. So tonight I'm just going to focus on that middle bit, those mindset practices. I do have a program that can do the other two bits, and I'll just briefly mention it at the end, but I wanted to really focus on the mindset bit, because I think that's really important. So I like to think of this approach to rewriting our sort of self-sabotaging dialogue into an empowering dialogue as a 4-step process. So I love a sort of list or a set of tasks to do because it makes me feel quite excited. So I've got 4 steps here. So first off, we decide, then we can define, then we're going to discover, and then we're going to dedicate. And I'll go through all of these steps. But it's really about focusing on ourselves and setting those smart goals and finding what those obstacles are and turning those obstacles into stepping stones. You know, you hit a brick in the road, you can either fall over it or you can use it as a stepping stone. And it's just that shift in mindset that sometimes is quite empowering and less limiting. But we need to know what our individual success looks like and what it feels like, because sometimes we don't realize that we've achieved it and we miss those little successes on the way by self-sabotaging and going, oh yeah, it was all right, but not great, is it? And so we often are our own worst enemies. And we need actually to assimilate new ideas and behaviors. And I think that needs to be in a daily routine, because I think if you do it less often, you can, I suppose, just get into bad habits. So it needs to be daily, really, doesn't it? Just trying to move that. So it's always good, I think, to start by identifying on what areas that would benefit from our attention, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I think, right, I'm going to set some new goals. I need to move my life onto a different chapter. And then I get overwhelmed by all the areas that I want to work on and all the things I want to do. And then that overwhelm limits me and I do absolutely nothing. I think it's always good to choose one or two areas to focus on, and then take some time. And I think this is where certainly myself, and I know others fall down, is we don't take the time to prepare before we decide. So we've got to really take some time to visualize and take some quiet time to just picture yourself successfully implementing that change and the value it brings to your life. So you need to be able to fast forward, you know, imagine a day in your life 5 years from now, or 1 year from now. What does that success look like? Really visualize it, you know, close your eyes, really decide what it feels like. What does it look like? So that when we get it, we can recognize it and celebrate it. So we need to actually decide which goal we're going to focus on, because like you and like me, you may have many. And why are you ready for this change? Because I think unless we actually are honest with ourselves that we're ready to make changes, goals will never be accomplished. We need to make sure that we're ready. Why is now the right time to be doing this? Now, I made a decision several times in my life to lose weight. I mean, having spent, 50 years of my life as a size 10, you mentioned menopause, I put on loads of stones. And every year I decide in January I'm going to lose the weight. But it's made a difference this year. My brother-in-law was diagnosed with a heart condition. He sadly died quite unexpectedly, though, in May, and it really has focused. Why am I now ready to make the changes? Because I actually now think my life does depend on it. I need to lose the weight. And you know, that's a huge why. I've got my little chart on my... It's quite a big chart. These are all little squares for every pound I lose. And so when I've coloured them all in, I'll be at my goal weight. I hide it a little bit to the side so it doesn't impact on my day every day. But you've got to have a good why that you're ready to make the change. Then you've got to imagine, how will this benefit? How will you benefit? If you're going to make changes and set goals and you're going to change these limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs, how are you going to benefit? Because if there's no real benefit to you, chances are you won't be committed to it. And I think one of the keys is, and we've discussed this already, is finding gratitude for the qualities that you already have that are going to lead you to that success. And one of our biggest self-sabotages is we don't believe that we're good enough. And we are. If you've got a passion for what you do, that passion is what's going to take you through. I talked to somebody in a meeting earlier about qualifications in the parenting field, and this lady is very accomplished in her field, has immense success and track record working with parents and toddlers, but she said some people don't want to employ me because they don't have a qualification high enough. But she has years, 15 years of success, and you've got to actually realize that it is that passion and that qualities that she has which far outstrip any pieces of paper she's got. And you need to have a why you want to accomplish it. And I think it's important to celebrate all those little steps on the way. So we got to celebrate at least one small victory, I think, every day. When I deliver with my other hat on, some of my parenting groups, I always encourage parents who are feeling a little bit down, feeling that they're failing as a parent and, oh my gosh, anybody else could bring my children up better than me, that you need to celebrate at least one small victory every day. And we call this toothbrush praise. Now, hopefully everybody cleans their teeth at night. So when you're brushing your teeth tonight, you celebrate that small victory you've had today. Because every day there is a victory in there. We just need to celebrate it. If we get into the habit of doing that, that builds our confidence, builds our self-esteem, and then that starts to make very little room for these self-sabotaging beliefs, because they don't feel comfortable in a celebratory head, I can tell you that. So, just going to move all the people for a minute. So step one is all about deciding. And I think you need to start with a judgment-free analysis. So I think, you know, I said earlier, it's about having your mind and your body in balance. And sometimes I think, you know, there are different areas of our life we need to work on first before we can get perhaps to some of those bigger goals. So I like to sort of think about your overall well-being and your empowering beliefs being across all of these areas. So have a little look at these areas: your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, and your social. So what areas of your life perhaps need to be worked on? And as I said, don't get into overwhelm, because that's when that little self-sabotage monster jumps onto your shoulder and goes, oh, see, you've got so many problems. Just don't even start. That's when you focus on one, possibly two. So it may be that physically we need to put some of our physical well-being into focus first before we can move on. Maybe we need to have better sleep. Maybe we need to do something about our nutrition. It could be that we need to raise our mental abilities a little bit and do something to help us to be motivated, help us to be engaged. Is there some, you know, something we could learn that we would enjoy learning? It could be that our emotional well-being is what is sabotaging us, that we don't perhaps have enough stress resilience, or that is there something or somebody we need to forgive and let go of that is perhaps holding us back. It could be that we need a spiritual aspect to our life. Do we take time to actually meditate and really think and focus on what we want? Many people who work for themselves work alone, and that in itself can be quite limited because we can miss that human connection. But it's about enjoying that solitude and taking the best of that. It could be that our social areas are holding us back. Maybe we don't enjoy the company of others. Maybe we don't communicate well, and maybe that's something we need to work on. But all of these are areas we need to focus on. And just find one or two here that you think might be good. And another way to decide perhaps what area to focus on that might be holding you back is just to think about those different areas and decide, you know, which ones are optimal, which ones are good, which ones need work, and which ones are you struggling with. Because chances are whatever areas that we're struggling with could be where our self-sabotaging beliefs lie. It could be that if we're struggling physically, we say, oh, we don't have the stamina to do that. I'm always too tired to achieve that. It could be that, you know, socially we're struggling. Oh, well, I don't know enough people. I'm not very good at talking to people. And that could be where your self-sabotage lies. So it just helps to focus on helping you decide where it is that you're going to work in order to move yourself on to these empowering beliefs and this growth mindset. So having decided what it is that you're going to work on, you need to define now what these goals are. And so we need to set SMART goals. We all are aware of what a SMART goal is, but you remove ambiguity around your goal setting when you have a clear idea of what you want and how you're going to achieve it. So specific goals clearly illustrate what's wanted, because if your goals are vague, they're more of a wish. And a wish is just a dream that never comes true. But a goal has a plan, and a plan requires action and focus. So there's a big difference between having a goal that's set and SMART and having just a wish. You know, you can wish I had more customers. You wish that I was more successful. But if you set a goal, I need 20 more customers, and I need an extra 2 every month, you're starting to put a plan in, and then you can put in some action behind that. And those goals need to be measurable. You know, for my weight loss, it's all very well for me to wish I was thinner. Okay, how much thinner do I need to be? How much weight am I going to lose every week? And so you can measure that. Stress management could be something you want to work on. It's no good, again, sitting back and thinking, oh, if I was less stressed, I'd be more successful. Well, how stressed are you now? What are you going to do to move that perhaps 2 or 3 score up to a 4 or 5? What can you do to actually measure how you're doing over time. And it needs to be attainable. You know, I'd like to think I can lose 3 stone in a week because I'm very impatient, but it's not attainable. So I need to be thinking that on average, if I average £1 a week, that's good for me. And that helps me to be motivated. You know, I'd like to think, oh, I'd like 20 new customers this year, but I'm not going to get them all in a week. You know, so maybe if I break that down and aim for 2 a month. I mean, my husband's just started this couch to 5K. Now, he's not going to go from sitting on the couch to running a 5K by Saturday. He's going to have to do it in small steps. And that's the program, you know, that takes you through those very small steps, and enables you to, you know, reach those little goals. They need to be relevant as well, that are appropriate to the next step. So, for example, if you wanted to have better sleep, it's no good saying, oh, I wish I was less tired, I wish I could get more sleep. That's fine. So what can you actually do? Turn your screens off 1 hour before bedtime. Because I don't know about you, but if I sit with my phone and I sit as I'm lying in bed and I fiddle with my phone, I know that blue light on that phone wakes my brain up and I'm never going to sleep straight away. So turn it off 1 hour before. Maybe try to go to bed just an hour, half an hour earlier, or an hour earlier than usual. So they need to be relevant to what you're doing. And they need to be time bound, and they need to, you know, be broken down into stages, because we need to consistently keep up that goal for a set amount of time. So those small steps need to be, you know, measurable, and they need to be time bound. And I always think you need to write things down. If you know, a goal is only a wish until it's written down, and wishes are a bit, you know, vague, aren't they? So use a journal, use a notebook, write down what your specific goal is, write down how you're going to measure your progress, write down how you know you've attained this goal and what is the relevance of it. Write that down, write down your timeline so that you've got really defined goals. Now, I have to say, I'm not too bad at steps 1 and 2. And then we get to step 3, which is discovering. This again is where you need to reconnect with your why. And also think about when you're discovering how you're going to get to these goals that you've now written down, you've decided on them, you've defined what the goals are. You now need to discover how you're going to get there. So who can support you? Review your gratitude statements. Be grateful for the, you know, the skills that you already have, the passion you already have, because this can be a really tough phase, which often I think for me is the place where I self-sabotage. You know, we can't avoid obstacles, things happen, life happens, but we can manage them if we're prepared, and if we acknowledge that success can take many shapes. And sometimes, although this may seem a negative step, it is quite useful to list some obstacles. It could be family and friends who say, oh, you're never going to do that. I mean, you haven't got any qualifications, and they talk you down, and then their talk becomes your self-talk. It could be that, I've tried it in the past and it didn't work out there, and you self-talk all those past failures, and then you self-sabotage. It could be finances. Well, I'd like to do that, but I just don't have the money to set that up, so I'm not going to bother. Okay, that can be limiting. It could be the qualifications that we mentioned earlier. It could be the fact that you are a perfectionist and it's got to be right, otherwise I'm not doing it. Now, those are potential problems, but what are the solutions? Difficult with family and friends. You could find new friends. Very difficult to find a new family. But you can prepare yourself. Always make sure that you're not going to listen to them. If those conversations crop up, change the subject. Talk about your successes so they start to have a different view. Past failures are past failures. We're living in the now and then in the future. So we just have to learn to draw a line under that. finances, solutions. There is funding out there. There are different loans. Talk to your local authority, talk to Business Wales. There are solutions out there. Qualifications can be a bit of an obstacle, but the solution is big up your experience. You know, your experience and your passion for what you do will carry you streets ahead of somebody who has a piece of paper but no experience. And yeah, we'd all like to do it right from the first time, but the solution is just let go of those little failures, because they're just learning steps on the way. And although we may struggle, just show up, as I think Oksana said, show up. We are good enough. Because this can be where the land of limiting beliefs and self-sabotage lives and thrives. And so sometimes we do have to push ourselves through this step 3 to get to these empowering beliefs. But this, I think, is often where we do very well at thinking up what we want. We do very well at setting the goals, and then we self-sabotage because we become almost too aware of the obstacles. And that's where step 4 is really important, because we need to make sure that what we're doing is building a growth mindset. Now, you can have a fixed mindset or you can have a growth one, but successful people have a growth mindset. They embrace challenges. They see opportunities to learn. Every setback is a learning experience. It's not a stumbling block. Now, people with a fixed mindset see any challenge as unsurmountable. That brick in the road is just an obstacle. Well, there's a brick in the road, so I'll have to go home. No, just step over it. We can often predetermine the outcome by talking ourselves out of it and self-sabotaging before we've even started. I used to be a big fan of the pity party. When I first started my Forever business, I would go out and I would talk to somebody perhaps about the products, and I'd come home and I'd go, right, well, that's it. Nobody bought anything. Poor me, I'm absolutely useless. I have a pity party. That's it. I quit. And I could dwell on that for days. And there's nothing wrong with a bit of a pity party. Just make sure it lasts 5 minutes and then you move on. But this again can be a real struggling stage, because we need to move into this growth mindset. And there are 9 attributes to this growth mindset. We've got to be non-judging. We've got to not judge ourselves. Just be patient, because, you know, growth takes time. Change takes time. Be open to new opportunities. Be open to new ideas. And I think when we're open and have an open mindset, we are more creative. We see opportunities as opposed to being closed. And trust the process. Trust that you are good enough, and that not only good enough, but you're great. Be process focused. Have an acceptance and let go of all those obstacles that may seem to get in your way, and just follow your passion. And I think this generosity of spirit and this passion that you have becomes quite giving, and people feed off that passion, and people will follow passionate people. And be having a gratitude for everything. Celebrate all your successes. Be grateful for the strengths that you already have. So I think, you know, we're all capable of developing this growth mindset and getting, and, you know, kicking this self-sabotaging self-talk into touch. We need to commit to the 4 steps discussed. I think it's quite handy for me to have a process to follow. Before I start, I like to do my mindset prep, which I'll go through in a minute. Have a goal board. I love a goal board. And if you're not sure about how to do a proper goal board, let me know and I can have that. Write down a personal mantra, almost like your personal mission statement, that shows your passion for what you're doing and where you're going. And make sure you read it every day, because that will make a huge difference as well. So this is a mindset prep to perhaps get you in the mood for where you need to focus and what perhaps are your self-sabotaging areas. So I want you to take a few moments to just sit quietly where you are. You might want to close your eyes. Just make sure you're nice and comfortable. If you want to go lie down, then please lie down. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. If you want to close your eyes, then close them. But it's a good thing to do before you want to set a goal, or on an evening just to, review your day, or on a morning when you get up. So we're going to start when you're ready. Just think about your head. So in your head, what thoughts do you continually replay about yourself? What self-talk is going on? And are these thoughts positive, helpful, negative? Are they true? Are they holding you back? Now let's focus on your neck and your shoulders. So what things are creating stress and tension in your mind and in your body? Are these things physical, mental, emotional, or a mix? And can you identify the source of the stress and the tension? And then think about your core. How are all these areas functioning? Do you feel nourished? Do you feel energetic? Do you feel bloated? Or do you feel achy? Then think about your lower back and your legs. Are these areas optimally functioning? Do they feel strong and supportive? Do they allow you to do the things you want to do, or do they hold you back? Now to your feet. Do they feel grounded and rooted in the things that matter? What things center you? And are you placing enough focus there? And when you're ready, if you are still awake, you can open your eyes. I just think sometimes we need to do this sort of body to toe check-in, don't we? Just to see whether it's our mind that's a problem. Is it stress? Is it tension? Is it the fact that maybe we're not feeling nourished enough? Is it something, where we're feeling a bit bloated and that can make you sluggish? Is it your core? Is it your lower back? Is it the fact that your feet are you not actually grounded in what you're doing? So I did say I'd have just a brief chat about the ways to, I mentioned at the beginning the importance of having good nutritional support and a guided food intake. And one thing that I did in June was I did a 4-day mind and body reset. And what it does, each day you go through one of these different steps. So you decide to define, you discover, and you dedicate. And it was quite an eye-opening program in 4 days. And the idea is that it's a new sort of nutritional box of supplements and food intake guidance, but it's also a mindset. It's a body and mind reset, and it enables you to really rest, renew, and rejuvenate your mind and body by having guided food intake and 6 new products. Now, days 1 and 2 can seem a bit restricting because you are quite low on calories, but you have lots of good nutrition that's going in. Days 3 and 4 help you to focus more on incorporating healthier foods into your diet. But overall, it gives you 4 days to really reflect on how your body feels and what sort of changes you're noticing, what different things you want to keep. But enables you to really set goals and focus on what matters to you. Enables you to have good hydration, which again can invigorate your mind. And if your mind and your body are well hydrated, they're going to perform better. The program also has mindful activities in. It helps you to become more intentional about your food choices. There's a lot of self-awareness activities, and it encourages this celebration of victories every day. So I quite like that. So you have all these different products which have been researched over 2 to 3 years and trialed. There is a Therm Plus. Now this is amazing because this just gives you a boost of energy and reduces tiredness and fatigue. It's a bit like being on natural speed. It's amazing, the Therm Plus. The Duo Pure is in there to really help with your liver function, because a lot of research has shown that lots of people are not working at their best because their liver function is not at optimal use. To encourage you to have more hydration, there are some lovely multi-fizz sachets which are watermelon flavors, and they are lovely, and they've got added vitamins as well. Now the Forever Lemon Blast is a real blast. It's got turmeric in it, and if you're not ready for it, man, is it a blast. You can have it hot or cold at night, and it's there to support your electrolyte balance, but also to help with psychological function, and man, does that turmeric give you a blast. There's also a little, say there are 32 Forever Sensatiable tablets, which are very tiny little round chewable fruity sweets that taste, well, I think they taste like vanilla cheesecake myself. They're very high in fibre. You take them with water and they can absorb up to 50 times of their weight in water. And you take these when the hunger pangs strike. And the idea is you've got up to 8 a day. Now, I'm always hungry, but I took 2 on day 1, 2 on day 2. I took 1 on day 3, and I took take any on day 4. But they're there to just really help put the hunger pangs at bay. And it's nice to have something sweet to sort of chew on as well. That's also supported by a protein shake, and it's vegan formula, dairy and soy free, made with pea and pumpkin. It's quite nice actually. And then we do have our aloe vera gel as well, which is great for your immune system and your digestive. It was launched globally, so we've got quite a lot of feedback. And I had to pick the ones of the names I couldn't say. So we've got Ragnhild from Norway, who said the program was super easy to use, my energy level was good, and I was able to keep up with my everyday activities. I thought I felt great before, but after the 4 days, I felt even better. Lorraine in Italy said, I love the fact it was effective and made me feel great in such a short time. It was easy to follow, highly recommended. Gikako from Japan said, I felt clearer in my mind with better focus and more energy. And that's how I felt. I found it wasn't really the supplements and the food that made the difference. For me, it was the mindset activities, and it was going through those 4 steps and really taking time to ponder and think about what goals I wanted to set, how I was going to define them and write them out, and what obstacles I may face and how I was going to deal with those and find the solutions. And then to really dedicate myself to keeping that up once I'd finished. So it is quite an interesting program. But any questions on anything, or any observations, or anything that resonated with anybody as we've gone through that? If you want the slides, so you've got all those steps, I'm happy to send those out and they can go out.
Thank you, Yvonne. Yeah, I would like the slides, please.
Yeah, I'll send them to Cheryl and then.
I mean, sorry, I just want to say, Yvonne, one thing I didn't say earlier, you're looking really well.
Oh, thank you.
Well, yeah, because you're normally a bit rough, you know. Sorry, the way I said that, wasn't it? You know, oh, you don't normally look this good.
I know what you mean.
What is that you're drinking, Yvonne? Let me see.
This I am drinking. It's a Fab. It's an energy drink, but it's a healthy energy drink that Forever does. It's full of sort of vitamins and minerals, and it looks a bit like I'm drinking my own water, but it is quite tasty. It's very sort of orangey and it's quite nice. But it is very good. And it's got no calories.
No calories. I like those.
No calories. Sugar-free, no calories, but lots of oomph.
It's very rare you see a package like that that covers all those spheres.
Mm.
So what made Forever Living come out with a package like that? Because it's really quite unique.
I think in the past, as you know, we've had the sort of weight management things, and we've had the C9 and the F15, and we've had those packages that have gone out. But I think research has shown that a lot of people perhaps fall down. I mean, they were looking at perhaps the weight management side of it, but they realized when they were doing their research that a lot of the reasons people don't achieve their weight loss or make healthier food choices is because we self-sabotage. Your mind is not in line with your body. You don't have clear goals. And so they felt this synergy of getting your body balanced and your mind balanced was the way to make people just feel better. And so they decided to write a program that was also going to work on your mindset over those days, as well as your nutrition, and perhaps re-educating your body to more healthier snacks, but to work on your mindset. Because for most of us, if your mindset's not right, no matter what we set out to do, whether it's lose weight or build a business or gain a qualification or write a book, whatever we're trying to do, if your mindset's not right and if it's fixed, you self-sabotage all the time. It was a bit of a challenge for my husband to do it. He's not a touchy-feely person. He doesn't do feelings. He doesn't do words. He doesn't, focus on himself. He had no trouble with the supplements and eating programs, but he found the mindset activities really difficult because I think sometimes, not just men, but a lot of people struggle to actually stop and think and focus and work out what it is they need to work on and to get their mind right and get it in the right place and get rid of some of those limiting beliefs and realize just how special and unique and successful we all are.
Well, thank you. I thought it was a fantastic presentation. I wanted to give you a bit of feedback of, as you were presenting the content there, the limiting belief that I had at the beginning, the giving me the time and focusing back on me more, it was a recognition. It's almost like you almost have to say to yourself, if I don't, then there's a ripple effect of other things that'll happen. Yeah. So the thing that it brought up for me is, because I'm not allowing time in the day to, take the dog for a walk down in the lovely places that are around here, because I'm not allowing me time, it's recognizing all the ripple effect because I'm not doing it. Number one, the dog isn't getting socialized as much as she should be. My walking isn't as good as it should be. That's impacting upon my weight loss that I'm managing at the moment, and not giving me time away from, working on a screen. So I think sometimes as well, we forget, the limiting belief. If we don't tackle it, it has a rippling effect that causes other problems, not only the unique limiting belief. So thank you very much for bringing that to my attention.
It's getting that balance, isn't it, across all these different areas? Because if they're not in balance, then you are kind of limited in some way, and eventually whatever area you're not focusing on and you're not working on will hold you back and pull you back.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And I'd like to hear from everyone else. So what did you learn from that, and how might you put that learning into action? So I'm going to come to you, Oksana, because we came to you last time. So let's hear from you first this time. Over to you.
You know what really stuck with me and what I'm going to do tonight, for sure, when I'm brushing my teeth? That was one of the best things, actually. I think that's such a wonderful, wonderful idea. And I'm definitely going to bring it into my everyday life as part of my evening routine. Definitely. Because I do something already in the mornings, is before I actually even step my foot on the floor in the morning, I think about 3 things I'm grateful for today on that day. I do this every day. That's part of my morning routine already. Whatever they are, it might be just, I'm just alive, I'm breathing today. And that's something to be great. It doesn't have to be something elaborate. But in the evening, just to celebrate, just to think, what am I going to celebrate today? I think it's a fantastic way. It's a fantastic way. And I could see how this will definitely bring your self-confidence up over time, for sure. So that was the biggest one. The biggest takeaway for me. It might be small, but I think it's actually quite big.
Thank you, Oksana. I'm going to come to you, Steffi. What was your light bulb of learning and how might you put it into work from this evening?
Well, I love all this and I love everything that Yvonne said. And I just said to Ian, I'm going to mention him on the call now because Ian is not, trust me, the kind of person that believes in anything that involves gratitude and manifestation, nothing. And I caught him like the last 2 weeks listening to podcasts and watching videos. And I said, what are you listening to? Oh, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all that kind of stuff and manifestation. I was like, what? And I'm so glad that what we do and what I started doing rubs off on him because his mindset is completely changing towards his goals and it's brilliant. And, you know, I'm hoping that we're both going to continue and learn to do it properly and make conscious effort, like Yvonne says, on doing it every single day. It's important.
Oh, thank you, Steffi. And over to you, Lorna. What did you pull from this evening and how are you going to put it to work?
I'm like Yvonne, you know, I love the list, and like Yvonne, I religiously write my list every night, and I find that helps. And the brushing the teeth as well is really important, isn't it? You know, but I am going away. There was something you said, and it was 2 words: letting go. And that's what I've got to keep reinstilling in myself. I'm getting better. It was, you know, they just screamed out at me from the page tonight, Yvonne. You know, I'm nodding away. Yes, I'm doing that. Letting go. Almost there, but thank you, because it was a reminder.
And thank you, Yvonne. That was an amazing presentation. And thank you so much for sharing your time with us this evening. So could we give Yvonne a round of applause?
Thank you, Yvonne.
In this virtual world. Thank you so much, Yvonne. I'm just going to stop the